What's up, sneaker people? It's your boy FB Kicks and Gear, and I am back with another video. And before we get into it, I've got a question. Can you guys tell which one of these is the real pair and which one is the fake pair? Let's just do a quick 360 of each. And here's the other. Give me your guess in the comments below with a brief description of why you think your choice is the real pair. I want to see how good you guys are without actually me going into detail about the shoes and breaking it down. But yeah, I think it'll be a fun little exercise. So pause this video, comment what you think your choice is, and stay tuned for when I actually break it down and I tell you which one is real and fake. Now let's get into the shoes. What's up, guys? So today we have what people are considering to be a very early contender for Sneaker of the Year, the Jordan 4 SB Pine Green. And holy shit, this is a beautiful shoe. It is a very beautiful shoe. And just like all beautiful shoes that I personally like and that tend to carry some hype around them, I got to do the legit checking guides. And with these already going up in price to $400 plus in the larger sizes, it's really important that people know what to look out for when they are looking for this pair. So just like every video, I'm going to do a detailed breakdown of what you should be looking for in an authentic pair so that you can make sure that you're buying the best product for yourself. So just like in every video that I mention, the rep pair will have very detailed pictures on the Instagram account that I am posting up on the screen, and you will be able to see all the angles and all the details that I point out in this video. So with that said, let's start breaking things down here. So one of the special things about this Jordan 4 is that it has been retooled in some obvious ways and in some not so obvious ways. There are a lot of things going on with this shoe that most people, and I'm going to say this, most rep factories and rep sellers aren't even aware of. And that's because this shoe was made for skating. It's adapting the original Jordan 4 to a more of a skate friendly shoes. And I'm going to tell you right up front that a lot of what makes this a skatable shoe is actually what makes it pretty easy to legit check, in my opinion. And I'm going to go and break down everything that goes into that. But as we always start, we're going to start with the boxes. As you can see, we have the normal rep funny business going on. The authentic box is larger than the rep, not by much, but it is. And you can see the different sizes in Jumpmen. Also the different color in gray and a slightly different color of sail when it comes to the color of the box. And when you switch over to the labels, you have the same type of deal that we see on all reps. The authentic pair on the top, you'll see that the text is always just slightly little bit less bold and prominent. The weight of the font is a lot lighter than on the rep, and you guys can see that particularly in the Air Jordan 4 Retro SP text. On the rep on the bottom is so much more bold than on the top. This is always a really easy way to legit check boxes right up the front. You can pull any Nike or Air Jordan box out of your closet and be able to do a legit check based on that. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the boxes. So let me get these out of the way and let's talk about the shoes. So as I mentioned before, what makes these great to legit check is the fact that this shoe is not a standard Jordan 4. They did a lot of things different with this that makes it stand apart from shoes like the Military Blacks and Red Thunders and other shoes that we've gotten over the past year and a half. And to start, the obvious things that they did a little bit differently is that they have this nice wraparound suede that's actually not a really soft suede. It's a more of a coarser suede with short hair. You can see the texture there. And they went with this because it's supposed to grip the grip tape on the skateboard a little bit better. They have rubber heel tabs and rubber wings, and obviously this is to help with durability. They got a nice gum sole, which is supposed to have a little bit more texture than your standard Jordan 4, and obviously that translates into better handling when skateboarding. So a lot of those things went into this shoe to make it different from the Jordan 4. And those things are what we're going to be using to really make this legit checking guide, because I will tell you, while on its face, this rep looks really good and it looks really close, they did not capture a lot of the aspects of the skateboarding mindset that went into these shoes. And we'll start right in the beginning with the Suede on the toe box. Authentic pair here on the left, rep here on the right. And you can see right off the bat that the Suede is different. This Suede is a softer, longer haired Suede that you would see in other regular Jordan 4s, and you can see that texture, and you can see that when you compare it to the authentic pair, it is night and day different. Visually, it might not look that different if you're talking about what you would see on foot, but functionally this would not be able to perform as a skate shoe the same way this would. And that function that they gave this is to translate into a visual difference, and you can see that on any other shoe this would look fantastic. This actually reminds me of the Suede that you can find on the A Ma Maniere Jordan 3s. Now, I'm not saying that this is bad Suede, I'm not saying that this is low quality, but what I am saying is this is not accurate. This is not the Suede the authentic pair uses, and you can see that. Now, I'm not a skateboarder, so I can't tell you whether or not that these can be skated in and it'll perform the same, but I know that Nike chose material specifically for that purpose. So that translates into a difference that is pretty easy to see, in my opinion. And then from there, let's go to the back heel tab. As you can see, this is a little bit different. Nike SB on the back as opposed to a Jumpman or a Nike Air. And what's different about this on the back tab and on here and the eye stays is that Jordan Brand and Nike decided to go with a rubber back tab, and you can see that it's springy, it's got a rubbery feel to it, and when you compare it to the rep, visually you see a difference. You can see that the Nike Air and the overall back tab just do not present the same. And the reason why they don't present the same is because this is not actually rubber. And while this definitely feels a little bit more flexible than your standard Jordan 4, this feels like it's just a more flexible plastic instead of rubber. And that translates into, one, you can see how the features on the back of the heel tab are defined differently. And that goes on to the Nike SB as well. The only way I can really describe this is that they're visually different in appearance. Obviously they say the same thing, but the way the material that this is cut out of, it just doesn't have the same definition as the authentic pair. And the authentic pair is wholly made in rubber. The letters, the back tab, this feels like plastic, and it's much harder to the touch. It sticks out a lot more than the authentic pair does. This is just an example of how they didn't actually capture what Nike intended to do when it came to the skateboarding aspects of the shoe. And from there, you can actually see that they visually are different colors as well. You can see that the rubber wing on the authentic pair kind of matches the white off-white sail leather, and the green matches the rest of the shoe. While when you look at the rep here, the wings and the lace holders are darker to the point where it kind of stands out, and you can see that. Also notice the difference in shape in the netting here. Not a huge deal, I would say, but definitely something that when you're paying so much attention to the rubbery wings, the difference comes up. And while we're talking about color, let's take a look at the midsoles side by side. So they definitely got the paint color very, very, very close. Slight finish differences. It feels like the authentic pair is a little bit more glossy than the rep pair, which is a bit more dull, but more or less the paint color looks the same. But when you look at the color of the white rubber, you're starting to see One, you see a whole bunch of mold lines on the rep pair, which are present on the authentic pair, but a lot less noticeable and prominent. You can see that. But the rubbers are also slightly different colors. The white rubber here on the rep is cooler, while the white on the authentic pair is definitely a warmer white. And the greens, like I mentioned before, look pretty similar. I would say the green on the authentic pair is just a little bit more vibrant, and you can see it in the pod here. But the green colors are very close. When you switch over to the bottom, you can see that more or less the same thing holds true from the side. When it comes to the white rubber, it's a little bit more cold on the rep, and it's definitely warmer on the white. But most importantly, you can see the difference in the color of the gum portions of the sole. When compared side by side, you can see that they're slightly different colors. The authentic pair is just a little bit more, it's not as translucent as the rep, so it comes off differently. It comes off a little bit murkier than the rep does, and you can see that from the side. But all minor differences, but still all lends to the fact that the reps are not exactly the same. From there, let's take a look at the tongue tag. There's something weird that I noticed going on. For one, the reds and the greens of the tongue tags are slightly different, going from the authentic pair here on the left to the rep pair on the right. The rep has a more of a darker red and a darker green. Also, the embroidery seems to be a little bit more bold on the rep than on the authentic pair. But what I noticed is that there is something weird going on behind the tag of the rep pair. From what I can assume, this is just the backing of the embroidery for the Jumpman itself, but it almost bleeds through the front of the tag, and that is definitely not the case on the authentic pair. But you can see that even the finish is a little bit different on the authentic pair. It's almost satiny, while this is just regular run-of-the-mill Jordan 4 business that we see. And you can see the satin shine in the light. Moving on from there, we go to the insides, and overall, not only do the tongues have different colors in terms of the green, but they also have slightly different textures. I will say that the padding is very, very, very similar. They feel exactly the same. This does have a puffy tongue just like the authentic pair does, but definitely noticing the difference color in the green. Other aspects of the shoe that I've noticed, the overall theme for the rep pair from what I'm seeing is that they took a normal standard Jordan 4 and they tried to put the pine green colorway on it without making any changes to your standard Jordan 4. One of the things that I'm really seeing is it's probably going to be hard to pull up on camera, but the synthetic leather that Reps and Nike use for most leather-based Jordan 4s has this, it's smooth, but it has this pitting on the texture. Let's see if you can see it on camera. But you can see a texture to it going all the way around, while the authentic pair just doesn't have that. The only texture you see is wrinkling from just how the shoe is put together. Slight tumbling. It's grain, that's what it is. This is just synthetic leather, and this is the finish that synthetic leather has. And I don't know if it's really coming up, but it's different. This is something that you would see on a standard Jordan 4. This is something that is special. But other than that, it just goes down to kind of small things here and there. Obviously, this open portion here is much larger on the bottom netting, is much larger than what we'd see on a standard Jordan 4, but even the rep is massive compared to it. When you take out the insoles, this is what the insoles look like side by side with the authentic one on the left. You see slight finishing differences on the red portion of the insole. You can see that there's text differences on the Nike Air SB branding on the inside. When you turn it over, you've got your Dreamcell soles. I can tell you right now that this is not an actual Dreamcell sole. It's much softer, and you can even see the text on them. It's imprinted pretty differently. And there's this weird square here. While this is impressed into it, it actually sticks out on the authentic one. So very minor differences, but differences nonetheless. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring out a black light to see if we can find anything crazy. When you shine the black light on the authentic pair, you can see the stitching lighting up, the liners lighting up. You can see the backing to the cage lighting up on the tongue as well. You can also see some glue marks around the shoe, pretty normal. The wings definitely light up. The green is not reactive at all. Take a look at the back. Nothing is reactive on the back. And when you look at the rep, oh wow, you can start to see a lot going on. You can see the guide marks, the green of the wings are lighting up, also more guide marks. Interesting. So it looks like there are a lot of ways that you can use a black light to find things here. I'd say the biggest thing that you can pay attention to outside of the guidelines and things that are on there is that if we have the authentic pair here on the right, the green eye stays do not react on the authentic pair, but they do react on the rep. Probably the biggest difference there. So that's the Blacklight test. I'm pretty surprised that it turned up so much. And that, guys, is pretty much what we have here. That is the comparison. I will say that there is some debate on what batch these reps are. I've looked into it, and the best answer I could find is either GX batch or I8 batch. You guys take that for whatever it is. I'm not usually too familiar with these newer batches outside of your typical LJR, H12, PK, yada yada yada, but I will say these are completely legit checkable in my opinion. I think there's enough going on between the black light, between the different materials, between the fact that Nike really took their time and recrafted this shoe subtly but unsubtly at the same time. And if rep factories are going to have a hope of getting something similar, they have to do a lot better. These will pass on foot, no problem, in my opinion. I don't think people are going to be grilling anyone for these, but there are some differences, and they are going to help people not get scammed. So that is the end of this video, guys. I'll leave the information for where you can see more pictures of this shoe on Instagram up on the screen. And yeah, guys, this is just like any other shoe. This is just the beginning of the series. I will be doing more. This is my personal authentic pair, so I will have them to try out different batches and things like that. But please stay tuned, guys. I love doing new releases with you guys, and especially when you're talking about a shoe that is a potential shoe of the year. So all I'd say, guys, please like and subscribe. I'm almost back at 1,000 followers, which is crazy because it took me 2 or 3 times as long on the last channel to get 1,000 followers. So subscribe, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.